Okay, this is episode 3 of tboy swag, and I have some very special guests today. I have the mods of tboy swag from Tumblr. Who are you guys? Tell us, who are you guys?
So I am Kieran. If you want to know which mod I am, I'm Mod West. I came into the blog second, after our fearless leader, Mod Winslow.
Hi. I didn't realize that I was supposed to talk yet. I'm Ezra. I'm also Birdhouse, Mod Birdhouse. I came in third. I feel like I've caused the most problems. I'll be frank. I'll own up to it. I caused the most problems.
I just texted and want to introduce ourselves. What do you guys want to do an introduction?
Okay. Anton is our fearless leader. So he can say some stuff about himself, but I believe there was like a Tumblr post that was talking about tboy swag, and he thought it was funny, and like in our Discord server we were making jokes about it, and then he was like, I started the tboy swag blog. And
I think we had to convince him to start the blog. Like, I think he just saved the URL and was like, should I make this into something?
And then he posted Herbert West. He posted Herbert West, and everybody got obsessed with it and started sending in like an insane amount of requests. And he was like, bitches, help. So we did.
Yeah. Because we kept on giving suggestions and being like, oh, you should post this on the blog. Oh, you should post this on the blog. And eventually it just got to the point where it's like, no, it just makes more sense for us to be able to post on the blog so that we stop being like, hey, you should post this on the blog.
Oh my gosh. I'm so loving this, like one of my other questions, but oh my god, I love that it started like just as like a joke. And then it blew up into something. Because I remember when it blew up, and I was just like, I love this blog so goddamn much. And it was like over the span of like a week, I think. Like, I just remember like it just started, and I was like, oh my gosh. All right, Anton, introduce yourself. Well, my name is Anton. I'm pretty much the creator of tboy swag. The icon.
The icon of it all.
Because, like, tboy swag, like, I think you guys really popularized it, to be honest. Because now, I know people that, like, aren't even active on Tumblr that use the phrase. And I'm like, where did you guys learn this?
I think it came from, like, a post that was, like, just like had the word swag and like tboy in it.
I genuinely thought, I think it was like, they can't hate me for my tboy swag.
It was something like that.
It was
yeah. And then that's where that came from. But it's kind of spread to Twitter, I think.
Yeah.
And
have people been posting our posts onto Twitter? Like, because like if so, then like where are our royalties?
I don't know, but I met someone in person, and I was like joking. I was like, wow, the swag. And she was like, the tboy swag? And I was like, hello?
Hello? Do you know me?
I was like, little do you know,
I'm the tboy swag.
Yeah. But yeah, it's strange. Because like my roommate at the time also has Tumblr, but we never tell each other our URLs. We just kind of bounce around it. We're just like, did you see that Tumblr post? Yeah. And they had seen tboy swag posts, and they were like, haha, tboy swag. And I was like, actually, I'm a mod on that. So, yeah.
I remember like the first post of like, yeah, they hate me for my tboy swag. And that was like, it got a little popularity and stuff, and it was like going around and stuff. But I think you guys really popularized the like continue use of it. Like, I don't think it would have like stayed and stuck had there not been a blog that was 100% right all the time. on most of it. Like,
Yeah. We have all of our rules are 100% right and 100% real. If you submit cartoon stuff, we die.
I think the like intro post that Anton wrote is actually like, I don't know, like very informative.
I feel like it is art, to be honest. It is.
And I want to hold that thought because I have a question exactly about the intro post. It's in, like, I think my favorite submission to tboy swag is the Emiliano Zapata one. That made me laugh in the middle of fucking class so goddamn hard. I kind of fell out of my seat.
Okay.
It was my favorite fucking thing ever.
So, like right after that was posted, we got an ask that said like, how can you post call people trans without their permission? And I remember sending a message to like the Discord server, and I was like, should we ask Emiliano Zapata's publicist if we can post him on the blog?
I will be honest, our chat, like our mod chat, is the best part about being on the blog. It's just like, because 9 times out of 10 when people send something stupid, we will all immediately talk to each other about it. Like,
I think, well, at least my personal biggest rule, no Will Graham. We're not doing it. Too much. Look, I get it. Hugh Dancy has very feminine pics. I will be the first to admit that. But we're not posting him. It's too much. He's been through the ringer. It's like we're beating a dead horse with posting Will Graham. So he's not going on the blog. That's my thoughts on, the rules.
I'm like trying to think of anything that I like very much find a steadfast rule. Besides, like, I think the main one that I like felt like I had to make known after we had started the blog was the classic rock guys, because people kept on sending in so many like people still send in people where it's like, do you like know anything about this dude? Like somebody sent in like Captain Jack Sparrow, and I kind of just wanted to be like, he's done, like it's just such a weird, like, that's the only thing, like people will send in people where I'm like, I don't
think you know what the definition is.
Yeah, that as well. I'm like, I don't think you get this.
Like, the tboy swag is, it's the energies. If you can think to yourself, this is like referenced in the post, if you can think to yourself, yeah, I could meet a trans guy exactly like that, they have swag. If you're like, this has the essence of transgenderism, this is a well-known transgender trait, and the man has it, tboy swag. And by well-known transgender trait, I mean, like, big shirts.
That's the only one. Big shirts.
Big shirts.
If I see a guy in, like, a movie or, like, a piece of media wearing, like, a big shirt, I'm like, he's kind of giving tboy swag right now.
Me, whenever I look at fucking David Byrne, I'm like, wow, God, that shirt sure is big, mister. Are you hiding some transgenderism in there for me?
Hiding tits.
Oh, God, burn his tits. I'm like really happy that the phrase "his tits" has also been popularized with the phrase "tboy swag," because I feel like the two can't coexist without each other.
Yes.
Like, his tits heart emoji is like so similar to tboy swag energy, because like genuinely I don't think that there is a time where I can look at a man and be like, his tits heart emoji, and not be like, that man has tboy swag. They are one and the same. Like,
exactly. Exactly. I think my favorite, it's like honestly, like this has led down like a rabbit hole of me being like you know what, I am just deeper tea now. Was like just like, oh, his pussy. Like it let me down a like rabbit hole of me realizing I just like trans people. Like
Yeah.
I have like this playlist for a character, and literally the description says like I know his pussy tastes like a roll of quarters, but I love him so. And
so true.
And it's the like the whole like it's a Venn diagram. His tits, tboy swag, and then his pussy.
Yeah.
And they all have different views. Like they're all going to different things. Like they're all saying different things. But in their heart of heart, it's all about the transgenderism.
And it's
also,
all about his pussy.
It's, yeah. The pussy is important. It is...
Never forget.
Like, I posted this, like, last week on, like, the show's Instagram of, like, my friend and I were talking about, like, how I have this horrible screenshot on my phone of like my camera roll and of like when this like face reveal of a character got released, and it's just the like it's just like a like boy pussy and then like emojis and stuff and like going insane, and I was just like, this is illness. This is so ill. Also, Anton, for the question of what are thoughts on the popularization of tboy swag, said, I think it's funny. I didn't create the term myself, and I made a blog as a joke, and it seems to spread around a lot. I feel like it could get weird, and have some thoughts about that, but for now I'm having fun.
It definitely could get weird very quickly if you do it wrong. I feel like if you involve the actual people, then it gets weird. Like, in any situation where you're like, we're not headcanoning real people, like, we're not saying that, like, real-life people are, you know, trans. Like, we're not saying these cis men are trans. We're saying that they have a type of swagger.
Yeah, like, there is a very specific type of transgender swagger.
Yes, but I feel like that can get out of hand if you, one, start... There's a way of, like, playing into stereotypes in a fun way and then playing into stereotypes in a negative way. And if you start playing into those stereotypes in a negative way, then I feel like it can get out of hand. But in the current moment, I think we're playing into them in a very fun way.
Yeah.
The big shirt, the baby face, you know, like stuff like that, that's like harmless. But there can be like, you know, it's kind of just like a line that you can cross. And I don't think we have crossed that line, but I feel like people definitely could, you know?
I think I've seen posts of like tboy swag has posts where it's like this character has tboy swag, but it's not from the blog, and I can tell it's not from the blog because of like some of their opinions. I'm just like, yeah, but I don't like it. Like, I can see where you're coming from, but I don't like it in any way, shape, or form. But I think like your blog has had the most consistent like good takes. Like, I haven't been like, ooh, and they've all been like, yeah.
It's definitely a collaborative thing. Like, we'll run it by each other most of the time.
Peer reviewed.
It is peer reviewed. We'll run it by each other. It's
a whole process.
Or we'll like run it by other people. But yeah, I would say the posting is a little inconsistent because it's all of us are people, but also because like we're very specific about what we post.
There are times where I get into moods where I'm like, I need to be making like 20 posts on the tboy swag blog right now because I have so many ideas about who is transgender.
I will say one thing. Now, I'll preface this with, I guess, like, about the view of tboy swag. I will preface this with, I am a white man, so, like, obviously I can't, you know, say everything about this, but a lot of what other people view as tboy swag is, like, white twinks. And
it's really effeminate white men.
It's effeminate white men. And that's why we vet it so much, because like if we posted every request that people sent, it would just be effeminate white men. And like that's not a representation of trans men or trans man swag. Like we literally had to make a post being like, stop sending white twinks, because that's not only tboy swag. But yeah, I think that's another thing where like the negatives of like the term tboy swag is that like you play into stereotypes that can be negative. Like I don't want to call anybody out when I say this, but there was like a tboy swag post that I saw that was like the spectrum of tboy swag, and every single person on it was white, and I was like, that's not it. That is not it whatsoever.
Yeah, like that's just yeah, because I feel like the thing about tboy swag that a lot of people like, I think the general person who is not necessarily like, my brain wants to say involved in transgenderism, but that's really not what it really. But we're just gonna go with that because I can't think of anything else. But like, it's just like this very like stereotypical view of like, yeah, that's what you would think a trans person would need.
Yes.
And like,
I feel like that's one reason why we can't have cis people, you know, participating in the tboy swag or just the trans swag thing, is because while we're playing on joke, it's like the exact thing of like minorities making jokes about themselves is different than like the people in power making jokes about minorities. Tboy swag is always going to be a tboy thing, and I feel like at the same time that we are making jokes about ourselves, and that's completely fine, at the same time we can perpetuate negative stereotypes about ourselves if we play into this too much. And that's just like it's nothing that like we can do as ourselves to control what other people do, because like I'm not going to log into someone's account and be like, delete this. But I will say that it's a line that we try to not cross into when we post, is like, is this bad? Pretty much. Is this bad?
Yeah.
100%. And I really, like, I think that is what sets the tboy swag account apart, is because of the non-white, like, submission there. Like my favorite being Emiliano Zapata, like, it's, like, he is, like, a Mexican icon, like historical icon, but it fucking works. Like, it's so true in a specific way of like, yeah, 100%. He, like, I could meet like a trans guy today that has this exact energy, and like I think like a lot of like, especially online and on Tumblr especially, it's kind of a very, when it comes to trans male spaces, they're all really white dominated. Like, I'm in a weird situation where it's like I'm mixed, but I look really white. But on online spaces, sometimes it's like I'm not like getting visually clocked as white, but I have like a non-white perspective. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I get it, but I feel like you're assuming something of me that like isn't there, because you haven't even seen it. Like, it's just like the base default is like, if you're like, oh, like on Tumblr, like they just assume like, oh, you're just some white trans guy, and it's just like, especially when it comes to like another white trans guy, like kind of assuming it in. I'm like
yeah,
guys.
I feel like on Tumblr there's like this idea of the universal trans experience, and almost all the time that universal trans experience is like the white trans mask experience, which
yeah
is a thing in itself. And like one of the things about like T-Boys, I keep repeating myself, but the thing about T-Boy swag is that T-Boy swag is a multitude of things because the trans experience is a multitude of things. So like T-Boy swag isn't just white twinks, because not all trans men are white twinks, you know? And like if you think, and well, I do find it funny to be like, ha, baby face short trans men, because like that's the thing, we can't get around that. We have baby faces a lot of the time, we are short a lot of the time, but I think that sometimes there can be a tall man and there can be a man with a beard, but he still has the transgenderism because transgenderism is diverse.
Yeah.
And like, this is coming from like a tall trans man, and so like, I'm a tall, fat trans man, and so the representation for me, zero.
Yes.
I'm a minority, okay? I'm like really important. But yeah, like I think because I've been on Tumblr since my freshman year of high school, and I've seen all of these gimmick blogs come and go. But the only ones that actually, like, I feel like actually have staying power are ones that, like, I don't know. I feel like with this blog, no matter what, I've always tried to pull more from, like, what we know versus a submission. And, like, there's some blogs that just get taken over with submissions, but, like, that is the thing that I think is very specific about tboy swag, is that it is very much, like, we are curating this experience, and this is our taste. Like, constantly, I am floored by the fact that a blog that I genuinely have only ever seen as an in-joke between friends has gotten this big. And I think that's why it is so popular and has, like, maintained its quality, is because we all view it as an in-joke between friends.
Yeah, I feel like once you kind of push it into, like, not to say that people online can't have funny ideas about tboy swag, because some of the submissions we get, like, I'm like, oh yeah, that's funny. But
yeah,
when you curate it to yourself, then it's more sustainable because you're enjoying it. And
yeah.
And I also think that, like, you know, flags come and go, jokes move on Tumblr. That's like a thing that happens. But I feel like the tboy swag and just like the trans swag kind of thing stays because of the big trans population on Tumblr. I feel like that's why it stays so much. And two, just because that's a universal experience. That's like a never-ending experience of being trans, of being swag. And you know what? There are some trans men without swag. I'm gonna say it. Elliot
so
Page,
true.
He has no swag.
And it's so sad.
It's so sad. Because he's so...
Just a crumb of my swag. Just a crumb. Just a little morsel for the boy.
Yeah.
He's doing so much for the trans community and, like, activism and donating.
By, like, actively flopping, though, constantly. I'm like, I love you, but you look like shit, honey. And I can say this as a trans man.
He's a great person, you know? But he doesn't have any swag. And that's the end of the story. But then you have, like... dare I say...
Charlie Day?
Gottmik doesn't have, like, a ton of swag. He's got, like, a little bit. But I would say on, like, levels of tboy swag, Gottmik is very, very low. But that's just because
I would say,
he's
like, a little higher than, like, Elliot Page. But not
higher than Elliot Page, but not as high as, like... I'm trying to think. This is, like, kind of enlightening by the fact that we can't think of, like, a ton of trans men celebrities right now, other than Gottmik, Elliot Page,
Cher's son?
Chaz Bono, yes.
Yeah.
Chaz Bono definitely has a lot of swag, and I think it's because, well, one, he is, like, historical figure at this point, because he's, like, the first, like, famous trans man, or, like, not the first famous trans man, but, like, one of the first, like, publicly open famous trans men, and, like, that in itself is swag, because he was open about it, and he was unapologetic about it. It's such an early time, and, like, it was, like, the 2010s, but that was still such an early time for trans activism when you think about it. And he
trust me.
And he was unapologetic about it, and that was, he was open about his struggles with being trans, and he was, like, I don't know, like, it's just, like, such a...
I think, like,
swag.
Also a part of it... Yeah, I still think a part of it, like, with Chaz Bono, like, I think I like him more than a lot of other trans celebrities because he isn't like some of like the like newer more like newer like trans mass celebrities. They all have like this perfection to them. They're all like Elliot Page has like a weird like six pack. Like they're all like beautiful and like so
very,
to the point of sterility, like almost like it's like
they're very polished. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Like I think the reason Gottmik unnerves me so much, and I've been told my dislike for Gottmik is a little unreasonable, and it is. There's something about that man that unnerves me, but I do think it is because he is such a polished, stereotypical, like perfect view of a trans man, and I think that's the only reason he was able to get on Drag Race is because he's
100%.
the perfect view. Like there are tons of trans men drag artists that are just as talented as him, if not more. But the only reason he was able to get on Drag Race is because he is this perfect view of a cis-passing trans man who's like perfectly polished, just masculine enough to be like a man, but still not super masculine in the way that Drag Race wants. So like, and also he's rich and he was able to pay for like fancy and extravagant outfits and everybody loves that. So
I think like especially like it's like a continuation of like I'm thinking like the 80s 90s a concept of like the androgynous femme like skinny lift in like a fully androgynous like the thinness makes the androgyny and that makes like the subversion of gender and like so many like I have this conversation with like a couple friends of like Dorian Electra like is like they're just popular. A big part of it is because they're like a conventionally attractive thin person that is like kind of performing ugliness. And it's just like you're like all of like a lot of like trans mask celebrities, I think like they all just get the perfect results from like each part transition and they kind of like they have the like they get the perfect voice, or they get like either a really masculine voice or the most like, oh, that's a trans man voice that like cis people know.
Yes.
And then they get like the best results on like their top surgery. There's no scars. It's just beautiful. They're sculpted, and it's just like.
I think. Well, another trans man that. He only just recently came out. The Nickelodeon star, Michael Cohen.
Oh, yes. I was trying to remember his name.
Yes, I think he is full of swag because.
Oh yeah.
He's bald. And he's this like trans man who's not like that polished look. Like, not to say he looks like. You know, there is no like regular man look, but he's just some middle-aged dude. He's not super polished. He's literally just some guy. He is the representation of that trans people are literally just some guy. Like, he's not like super conventionally attractive. Like, he's balding. He's old. You know, he's not only the existence of like an older trans person in the media, which we don't see a lot, especially for trans men, of like the older, you know, range, but he's also not like that overly like Hollywoodified trans man.
Yeah, he's literally some guy.
Yeah.
I think like of public celebrities, he has the most swag. Like I
definitely.
have the most. I have like the most like love respect for him.
Yeah, and. Oh shoot! There's like a John Waters actor who is like sort of. It's a different situation. They're, I think, really revolutionary because they, I believe, started testosterone when they were still identifying as a woman, and they were like open about that. And I think that's a really interesting take, just to be open about that. I can't remember their name. They were in Cecil be demented, but they're a John Waters actor. I think they're very interesting as an artist.
It's really cool. I think like a big part of like the like, because I think like you can tell I'm Californian. Like gayness, like transness has become like we need to assimilate, we need to like be perfect, we need to be like cis people. And I think like that's why I think like a lot of trans people like kind of latch on to John Waters in a way. Like I know like non-trans people also like John Waters, but there's something different about trans people enjoying John Waters because it's the like he approaches like his like queerness as like being grotesque. I'm sorry for the raised hand. Like the he like revels in grotesqueness, and like when you're trans, like you're kind of seen by like trans folks as like a weird, monstrous little like abomination, and like reveling in it is like the most satisfying thing of being like, yeah.
I think the John Waters actor I was talking about is Harry Dodge, and I think he's really interesting because he doesn't necessarily identify as a man. You know, he uses he him, but he is like, you know, he doesn't identify as anything. But I think that's really interesting to be like openly vocal about, like being trans and not being, you know, a binary trans person, but still transitioning in the way that people consider for a binary trans person. I think he literally looks like just some guy, and I like his art. But I really like him because of his openness about not being the stereotypical trans, you know?
Yeah, I'm like looking at him right now, and I am obsessed with him. How did I not know about this guy?
He also has a child, which I think I love seeing trans parents. I love that.
Yeah, it's so like just like heartwarming almost. Like I guess I think it's like the same way like cis gay people feel like when they see like a cis gay couple with like kids. Like I feel that way to a degree with like gay couples as well, but it's like when it's a trans person with kids, it's like it's something even deeper than that. Like it's like the
yes.
Yeah.
Because, well, not to like trans and gay experiences are different. They're similar, but they're different. But I feel like trans people have been demonized a little bit more in the sense of corrupting children, especially today. So like you'll see like the posts that are like trans people are convincing children to be trans. So to see a parent who is trans is really not revolutionary because they're just existing, but it is revolutionary at the same time because we are considered like we're corrupting the children, but now we're raising the children. So it's a really interesting experience.
I completely agree. Anton replied to, I guess, a question because we were talking about anti-tboy swag, and then I also asked about the most tboy swag character, and said, well, the example I always use for tboy swag is usually Jesse Pinkman, and I cannot tell one reason why. He dresses like a trans man. I know a trans guy like that. My most anti-tboy swag is kind of hard. I don't want to just say someone I hate. There's something incredibly cis about Jared Padalecki.
I think it's the entitlement. Jared Padalecki, I think he is so cisgender because of his entitlement in like everything ever. Like,
yeah,
the way he feels, God, not to bring supernatural drama into this, but the way he felt entitled to like knowing everything about that prequel, I think. The way he felt entitled to call out his friends on Twitter and start a harassment campaign. The way he felt entitled to start a harassment campaign about some random airline employee on Twitter. Like, it's the entitlement. And you can tell.
It is his male behavior.
Yes.
I was wondering, because you guys talked about your guys' anti-tboy swag. What is your, like, penultimate tboy swag?
10
person character. Like penultimate, like that's your guy.
Okay. So, I think for me, there are two. Julian Bashir from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Because his story is an allegory for, intellectual disabilities, 100%. But I also think that intellectual disability, storyline can also be a trans allegory, 100%. And he's just got the swag. And then another one I would consider is, this is going to be embarrassing, I'm sorry, but Jack Klein from Supernatural. Because he is this, not only is the actor 30 and has a huge baby face and looks like 18, but I think he's born as an adult. And he is born as this cosmic being that can be anything. So I don't think he necessarily has to be a cis man. You know what I mean? So I think that really goes into it. And then obviously just Julian's storyline about being forced to be something he's not as a child, and being forced to change by his parents, and
or even
don't call me Yes, and don't call me Jules. I haven't been Jules since I was 13. That line is everything.
I think also the whole how it's a eugenicist allegory about kind of CRISPR baby almost type stuff before CRISPR was a thing, of trying to perfect a person that has issues. And I think it almost goes into how people are trying to find trans genes or gay genes as well, and you can read it that way too.
I'm gonna be honest, for the 90s, Julian's storyline about having a developmental disability is, while it's not perfect, it's super revolutionary to have this idea that changing and trying to fix, air quotes, a developmental disability is bad, and that you should accept your child with their disability is very, very strong. But I think Star Trek has always kind of handled disabilities in a pretty all right way. With Geordi,
I feel they've won out of their way.
Geordi also has great tboy swag, but he also has great disability swag because we're going to pretend that Star Trek First Contact doesn't exist, okay? We're not going to talk about that because I don't like what they did to Geordi's character in that. But I think his disability storyline is also really, really great because of the way how he's I would never change being blind. I don't want to change being blind because it's a part of who I am. And also, he's got the swag.
He's got such intense T-boy swag.
Yeah. His name is Geordi. That feels like a trans name.
It is such a trans name. I can meet him at an LGBT center.
I feel disability storylines tend to go hand in hand with trans storylines, which might be obviously they're not the same experience. They're very different experiences. But when you get into those allegories of being forced into change that you don't want to be in, and being perfected, is when you get into trans allegories as well, where you're being forced to be something you're not, and the non-acceptance of having something that can be considered limited.
Yeah, I totally agree that there's something inherent to the stories of being forced to change or being forced to kind of be fixed in a way that kind of goes in hand in hand with stories about disabled characters who have to deal with a eugenicist approach in especially in science fiction, where it is thank God criticized, especially mainly in Star Trek, but
a lot of science fiction does play into that idea where disabilities are fixed, and I think it's really good that Star Trek doesn't play into that idea of wherein a utopia disabled people wouldn't exist.
Yes. And there's like, it's like accessibility, not fixing. It's like fixing the society itself, not fixing the people, which is like revolutionary. Like, it shouldn't be revolutionary concept, but like it is in our society.
Yeah. That, like, they don't make Jordy not blind. They give him an apparatus to be able to see. You know? Like, they don't change his body. They just change the way the world works so that he can interact with people.
And if I do recall correctly, like, he talks about how, like, he likes how he sees. Like,
yes,
how
there's an episode where they go to this planet, and this planet has eliminated disabilities. And one of the women from the planet asks him if she wants him to fix him. Like, if he doesn't like being blind, if he wants to be fixed. And he's like, no, I like what being blind has made me view the world as. Like, he doesn't want to change. And that's just like so good. And I hate that in First Contact, they make him get eye implants. I hate it because they're just going back on everything they did with that character and that storyline.
It's just like you're backtracking so much and like going like, oh, we went this good way. Now we're going to backtrack and go back to the bad way.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right, Ezra, who is your ultimate tboy swag character or person?
So, like, deep in my heart, my, like, first thoughts are Kermit and Gonzo. Obviously. There's no explanation needed. They are a Jim Henson creation. There is transgenderism stored inside the Jim Henson creation. But, like, if we're gonna go, like, because I want to add at least one real person, because we haven't done any real people. I want to say David Byrne, because David Byrne do be having that transgender flag. Like, as we discussed earlier, he's wearing a big shirt. And as we all know, that is the only transgender trait, is big shirt.
Yeah,
so,
the universal.
I'm making this podcast really good because I'm doing a comedy callback, as the kids say. So,
oh my
congratulations.
Big
shirt. Yeah, I think. Oh, also Charlie Kelly from It's Always Sunny.
Like, Charlie's a human being.
Charlie Day is a human being, definitely, because he's got that kind of like scrungly.
He's a rap boy.
He's got that scrungly. Yeah. He's got like the. It's just the way he carries himself, and it also helps that he's short and has like a crazy voice. Like, it's the way.
I also part of me thinks for some reason it's also the eyes. I don't know why I'm saying this, but it's like the eyes as well. I don't know why.
Yeah,
like, that's just my thought. I was like, I think it's the eyes.
You know what I think? This is just a weird take that I have. I feel like Rob McElhenney wants to have some type of LGBT swag, but he doesn't. His moms are gay, and he wants to have that swag that his moms have, but he doesn't. And like, yes, the Mac thing, the dance was beautiful, but there's something about Rob McElhenney that he just can't get the swag he wants.
And
it's like gay man parentheses derogatory.
He like used to effortlessly have that type of tboy swag, like, because I'm rewatching the early seasons of It's Always Sunny right now because of the podcast, and like, he does effortlessly have that tboy swag, and you like hear him talking about himself, and you're like, okay, so he's a late bloomer that hit puberty really late, he's short, and like overcompensates, and I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, obviously it's three traits of transgenderism: short, overcompensation.
Charlie's story, like his character storyline and Charlie Day himself, like just the way their lives have gone. Well, it's like similar to the trans experience. That's
like Charlie's life has been so bad that there's no way that he's not a little bit transgender, you know, at this point.
And like even the character in the show, like in that terrible bathroom episode they did.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say he poops transgender. Like,
they like have him discuss like gender and like how he isn't confined to it the way they do, and how he poops transgender. But
honestly, I loved the episode purely just because of the concept of pooping transgender. But I think that's just because I'm a trans man with IBS, and so anything that like has to do with shitting and being transgender, I'm like, oh my god, click like, I do that.
It's like, oh my god, so true gender.
Oh my god, I also poop transgender, and I also do all of my things transgender because I'm transgender.
The transgenderism of IBS, like,
so true. I think that
there's
actually
something
might be one of my favorite posts on the blog is that IBS has tboy swag, because literally like every trans person that I know, like half the time I'm like, hey, on the download, do you have IBS?
On the download, are we suppressing our IBS these days?
On the download, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't not been drinking as much coffee, so I haven't been like fully shitting myself.
I don't know what it is. I haven't had like a nice shit in a long time. Like it's all just been me fighting for my life in a restroom, and that's my IBS moment. It's for no reason. I'm eating fine, like everything's fine.
No, that's like literally the experience, though.
I can't catch a break.
I keep on like waking up and feeling fine, and then I get like period cramps level, like poop cramps, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, I can't go to work with poop cramps. Like, I can't go to work and have to stand up for 8 hours a day with poop cramps. I'm an adult.
The poop cramps are the worst goddamn thing on the planet. There's been several times I sleep on the top bunk, as you see up there. And like I've gotten poop cramps like when I've woken up and I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, like I'm dying. Like this is what death feels like. And I am like, oh, I'm just gonna die here.
Yeah, like literally you just accept it. You're just like,
I'm accepting death, and I'm just like, and then I go to the restroom and I spend a good 40 minutes there, and I'm just like, this was fun. This was an enjoyable experience.
All my coworkers give me shit because they're like, oh my god, you are in the bathroom for so long, and I genuinely just want to be like, if you took the shits that I took, you would understand.
Because there's also the recovery time. Like when you're sitting on the toilet. Like I finished shitting, but like I have recovered. Like I need a
And I genuinely, like, anytime my tummy hurts at work, I want to be like, I'm Godfrey, this little soldier, guys. Don't you know? My stomach hurts. Or, like, anything like that. And nobody finds it funny, and nobody gets it. Like, I think people just think that I'm joking about, like, how bad my stomach is. And I'm like, no. Like, genuinely, I am Godfrey, this little soldier, for, like, going to work today. Like, I don't think you get it. My tummy hurts so bad.
I never realized that, like, my IBS was, like, I think, like, always, like, I guess, like, I'm Jewish. I have a lot of Jewish family, friends, and family. And I just thought having bad shits was a thing. Like, I thought everybody just perpetually had bad shits. Like, I thought IBS was, like, you were fucking dying every goddamn day. Like, I thought it was, like, dysentery type shit. It never clicked that, like, oh, some people have good shits. Like,
yeah,
like I've had good shits, but it's like a blue moon, like, and like
people don't feel concerned when they go into the bathroom most of the time, and that's what I'm like. God, I wish that was me. Like, I would love to have like a sense of like security or like calm come over me when I go to the. No, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm at work, I'm thinking about how I can smoke weed in the bathroom, but that's just because that's just how you have to get through a day. But like, I'm terrified, and I'm also gonna smoke some weed, but mostly I'm terrified of like where this shit is. Yeah.
Oh my god, I have like my IBS, like it isn't so much like bad shit as it is I get like really bad constipation. But then when I do shit, it's awful. this is gonna stay in the podcast. This is funny. I think IBS is so tboy swag. It's
such a transgender trait. Like,
it's such a transgender trait.
What do cis people have IBS for?
Okay, like, name a trans person who doesn't have IBS. Exactly.
Yeah, can't think of a single one.
I'm like, if you're trans and you don't have IBS, get on it. Like, drink puddle water. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Like, some of us are just born with it, you know? Like, maybe it's Maybelline, maybe it's IBS. And, like I feel sorry for the transgender people who don't have IBS because they don't get to be part of the, like, really cool crew
it's a bonding.
We've assembled. Yeah.
It's a bonding experience.
Exactly. Because, like, I know I can shit with my trans homies. Like, I know that if I am, like, dying, I can shit with my trans homies.
It's like holding hands under the stall. Like, that's love. That's like
that's the type of love that you can only get from another transgender person.
Yeah, that's what T for T is.
Exactly. Yeah, T for T is holding hands in the bathroom while you're shitting.
Okay, this is one question I think we covered a bit of, but on the blog, I'm going to be posting a screenshot of the pinned post on the blog discussing the like rules and like guidelines, and we've discussed it a little bit. But on the blog, you guys describe the funny real definition is probably whatever Jesse Pinkman has, but go on to say for this blog in particular, the answer is more complicated. What is it like when it comes to submissions? And sometimes, like, you said there's like a voice there, like a voice of reason, and you mentioned like when it comes to like animated people, it's like cartoon characters, like, no. Where do you like think there's like lines that you just like you are aware of, like these are the lines? And you mentioned like there's the like, is there a trans person I can meet exactly like this? Is there like a coding there that is like inherent? Is there just a transgender trait? But what is like some where it's like to some person it might be T-boy swag, but it's kind of misunderstanding the term?
We definitely said this, but I think the baby face, the shortness, like, yes, those can give someone T-boy swag, but they also cannot at the same time. They have to be combined with other traits to give the T-boy swag. Like, you can't just be short and have T-boy swag. You have to have something else going into it. You can't just be baby-faced and have T-boy swag. There has to be something else going into it. You know?
Yeah. You can just be a manlet.
Well, also, I like with like some of the posts on T-boy swag, I kind of go through my like weird girl radar, you know, like would this, if I met this person like at some kind of event, I'm like 8 years old, confused transgender boy, meet another confused transgender boy who's not come out yet either, and like we just have like a really experience, like, yeah, weird girl vibes like that, you know, like it has to be the weird girl vibes. It has to be the like the main one, honestly, genuinely, is it funny? If it is not funny, then like there are times where it's like, yeah, I can picture this person having transgender swag, but this is not that funny to post.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
I genuinely think
this is so interesting. Like, it's like that being like, at its heart, it's really, is it fun or not?
Yeah, like Will Graham, sure, I can see it. I can see that he has T-boy swag. He's got those feminine hips.
Yeah, okay? I just don't think there's a way to make it funny.
It's like, just not funny.
It's been said and done.
Yes, it's not funny. Like, it's not fun. It's beating a dead horse. So, like, and like, at a certain point, like, at what point does a T-boy swag become unswagged? And that is when it becomes unfunny.
Yeah. Oh man, if a T-boy falls in a forest and nobody hears, is it swagged? You know. I think
think once
that went nowhere.
I think once it's not funny, it's
yeah. Oh
there's
yeah.
no point.
No. And like I think that they like with all of the like conversation of what is and like how we define it, I always am like I just constantly think about no matter what, I'm constantly thinking about the person that sent us Tom Cruise and then their apology. But like mostly that person just like genuinely being like, yeah, no, I think Tom Cruise has transgender
Tom Cruise?
Oh god, no, the mental breakdown I had after that person sent that ask, and I had to like come up with like a whole character for them and like figure it all out. And then they like sent an ask a couple of weeks later, like, hey, yeah, I was just in a haze, I was watching Top Gun, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, like I get it, but like this is not like say that it's his character, because not his character. Yeah, sure, Tom Cruise
Himself? No.
And if they were like I don't know. Even if they were like the Tom Cruise Vine, I would find that funny. I'd be like, yeah, like, you know what?
100%.
But then, like, I see the pictures of him and Brad Pitt in Interview with a Vampire, and I'm like, maybe I spoke too soon. maybe.
And at the same time, that is the character. That is not
That
him.
is true. I think he is. I think the thing with Tom Cruise is that he doesn't have tboy swag. He just ends up in movies with good costumes.
Yes. 100%.
Like,
and so, like,
I don't know.
That's the thing too with tboy swag is like, does the character actually have tboy swag, or are the outfits just transgender?
I think for like Tom Cruise, I think like I can never view him as trans because he's like the blueprint for Christian Bale, like Patrick Bateman. Like, he's literally the blueprint. And that's like the most,
he's like a higher up in Scientology. I like genuinely like he is.
I think if you're in money stealing religion, racist money stealing religion, that you don't have swag.
Yeah, you don't get to have swag of any variety, especially not a transgender variety.
Yeah.
I did almost feel impulsive that somebody was like, Tom Cruise has transgender anything, and I'm like, no, he doesn't.
Oh my god, when someone said, oh my god. Okay, someone sent in an ask that said, all of the Beatles except John Lennon, who has T-girl swag. That made me viscerally angry. Like, I was like, why would you ever say that? Why? Like, not just ignoring the fact that John Lennon was generally a terrible person. Like, that's just not true. They were 4 men with bowl cuts and then 4 men with terrible hair and glasses. Like, never at any point in their career did they ever hold any amount of swag. Like,
God, like, look at them. Like, literally, the Beatles have capitalized on swagless. That's why people, like...
And, like, to say that John Lennon has T-girl swag, I think is even more wrong. Like...
It honestly makes me feel insulted for trans women everywhere.
Yeah, like where'd you even get that? In what world?
It's so, like...
Like, it's literally an insult to trans women. Like, no joke. The fact that you would put him in that group.
Yeah.
It's vile.
Genuinely. Like... Just so rude. I also constantly am thinking about that one fucking Kurt Cobain girl that, like, we posted.
We posted Kurt Cobain. And, well, Kurt Cobain, it was like, if you read...
Kurt Cobain has T-girl swag, I think.
Because, like, Kurt Cobain genuinely, like, in his lifetime talked about, like, gender stuff. So, like, yeah. Kurt Cobain has T-girl swag. And this person goes and says, hey, you should really delete the Kurt Cobain.
No, it wasn't even thinking. They weren't even saying that we should delete it. They just went on a tirade about how Kurt Cobain was a chaser. And like all of this stuff that I'm just like, you don't know this.
Yeah.
This is just weird.
Or someone said we shouldn't post Prince because Prince was a closeted trans woman. And I feel like that's a huge reach. A huge reach. Especially because Prince hardly ever spoke about his personal life when he was alive. So like,
was the thing. Like when he died, like it was like because wasn't there like a whole controversy with like his family like releasing like stuff and like their management of like his life estate? Like,
yeah, like
he was so deeply private.
He was very secretive. Like, he had that baby that nobody knew he had until like after he died, and like his wife wasn't allowed to talk about the baby. Like, there was like nothing about his actual life until after he died. And if I recall correctly, he was fairly conservative. So like nowhere in his life did he ever give any kind of sign of being gender non-conforming as fuck, apart from like his concert outfits.
Yeah.
But he did say in When Doves Cry, he says maybe I'm just like my mother. That a little bit. I could see that. But to full out say we cannot say he has tboy swag because he is a closeted trans woman is like leaps and bounds like of a reach. And I feel like that's another thing is that like when people say that we shouldn't headcanon people as trans, one, we're not, and two, there's no issue with like, oh my god, when people are like you shouldn't headcanon people as trans, we're not. But say, for example, we were, what's wrong with being trans? What's the big issue with, like, calling a dead man trans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. I made a long time ago. It was, like, for a class. And we had to make a zine page, and at the time I got like really into the Clash for no goddamn reason. I don't know why.
It's the Judaism.
Nick
Jones.
That's true. I did like Mick Jones was my favorite, and it was I think it was the Judaism.
Exactly.
It's the Jew boy swag.
Jew boy swag and T-boy swag often go hand in hand.
I will
be
honest.
honest.
They're holding hands while shitting in the bathroom because of IBS.
Literally. Like, I think it's... I would say that, like, Ashkenazi boy swag is very similar to T-boy swag.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah. And maybe that's just because I'm the Ashkenazi boy, but, like, it's there.
It's the personality. It's the vibes, it's the like disposition, it's everything.
Yeah.
Like I will say there's like the fratish, like Ashkenazi guys, and those guys are like cis. But like those are but like just some like Ashkenazi guys, I'm like, yeah. It's just some like middle-aged dad, like yeah.
Yeah. Dare I say Bernie Sanders?
T-boy swag.
A little bit of T-boy swag.
Oh,
100%.
Filled to the brim.
Yeah.
Chock full.
And I think the fact that he's Ashkenazi works into that.
Oh, 100%.
Just like, if you're Jewish, the T-boy swag kind of is already there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be Ashkenazi, you can be any type of Jewish. The T-boy swag is inherent.
Oh, yeah.
Slay, boost the house down, you know?
Okay. Any last thoughts about T-boy swag?
I think that it will never die. I think, well, it may die on Tumblr if we ever forget or get lazy. I think as a concept, it will never die.
I think it is eternal.
Because we will never stop being trans and we will never stop having swag.
Real. I think like T-boy swag, it's like putting a label onto like a feeling that previously didn't really have a label. It was gender envy, but it wasn't quite gender envy. It was like a very specific feeling, and I think T-boy swag it captures that feeling it's always been there. It's just we didn't really have like a phrase for it.
Yeah, like the way gender envy is kind of like transition goals but different. T-boy swag is like clockable, but in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like if I saw this person, I didn't know anybody in this group in like a public setting, like I would feel comforted by their presence.
Yes.
Anton's thoughts on tboy swag are, I think it's fun and sexy and more people should have it.
So true.
Definitely agree.
My first impulse thought was eat his pussy. And then after that, I was like, no, I can't say eat his pussy. And then it was just me arguing with myself about how I can't say eat his pussy. So I'm going to say eat his pussy.
Yeah.
tboy swag is on every other Monday at noon on UCLAradio.com. And we have an Instagram. It's at the URL. I'm a great showrunner. It's tboy, but the O is an underscore .swag. And I post like promotional stuff that sometimes has screenshots of stuff we were discussing, or like pictures of what we were discussing as a teaser. So you should check us out. I still need to upload stuff, so I apologize. I've been fighting with my life. But yeah, thank you for listening. And yeah, have a great